So in this episode, I'm briefly covering protein intake, lean body mass, so covering bone density and muscle and strength training. And it sort of comes into sort of a bit of the area of longevity as well. A very good quote that I saw online yesterday actually was, and I've written it down because I have a memory, like I said, can never remember quotes. The idea is to die young as late as we possibly can. And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. That really resonated with me, as did a quote from a Dr. Peter Attia on we aren't living longer, we are dying longer. So take a minute to think about that. And that's quite a powerful quote. And it did make me really sort of think. So as we age, I'm going to cover a little bit on protein first. As we age, our protein requirements actually go up. So even back in the day when I was a bodybuilder, carrying a lot more muscle mass than what I am now, my protein intake still needs to be that little bit higher because our absorption goes down as we get older. And it's actually been shown that people in the late 60s, early 70s, their absorption of protein can go down to as low as 10%. Now, you think if you are not eating complete proteins, which I'll cover in a moment, so you're not eating enough and you're not eating complete proteins and you're only absorbing 10% of protein, your body is what we would call catabolic, or so you're actually breaking down your own muscle tissue, or sort of what we would class as sarcopenic. So your body is just eating away its own muscle tissue, which is not what we really want. But there is plenty of things that we can do. So protein, and again, there's plant-based proteins, there's animal proteins. If you're vegan, that is entirely your decision. I'm not, and some of you probably are. The one thing that I would say, if you are vegan or vegetarian, please make sure you are probably supplementing with leucine, lysine, as you will probably be deficient in these. You can lysine, these are amino acids. Lysine you can get from tofu and soy. Leucine is the highest is in beef. Okay, so but you can supplement with it. So again, that is your choice. So with the plant-based proteins, and again, I'm not dissing plant-based, your absorption is actually lower still than what as meat eaters that we actually are, because it's the bioavailability of the protein that you're ingesting and your absorption. So you need to make sure that you are getting plenty of quality proteins. If I go on to sort of meats, dairy, eggs, fish, those proteins are 95 to 100% available to us. Okay, so and methionine is also an amino acid that you need to be looking at, and methionine is very high in eggs, especially more free range and organic is a better source of getting these, that and you're going to have, if they're fed right, the omega-3s as well in these. How I work with my clients without getting too complicated. So say I'll use myself as an example. I'm about 62 kilos at the moment. My ideal weight I like to be is about 59, 60 kilos. If I'm in competition, then we're going into a different area. So I would be looking at, so say 60 kilos is 120 roughly pounds. So I look at getting 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. So we're looking at 120 grams of protein. So what is 120 grams of protein? So if I take a steak, so 100 grams of steak, there is, let's say, between 25 and 30 grams of protein in that cut of steak. So that's quite a lot that I need to be looking at getting in. And again, you don't have to get that complicated. A lot of my clients like the precision of that. So, but again, it's something that you can look at. So it's something that I've done from my bodybuilding days. I can literally look at a cut of meat and I can pretty much guess how much it weighs. So if you can start weighing it out a little bit at first, get used to what a cut of steak is, how much in a large egg of protein there is. I think there's about 9 grams of protein in that as well. So I eat an awful lot of offal as well. With your plant-based proteins, I'm not sure on exactly how much proteins are in. I haven't got any vegan clients, but you need to be looking at the bioavailability of your proteins. So I would always suggest, if you are vegan, to actually work with somebody that specializes in this area, just to make sure, especially as you're getting older, that you are getting all your quality proteins, all your amino acids, etc. So looking at nutrition as well, and again, this is broad brush strokes, make sure you get your good fats in. So your olive oils, your avocados, those are good. I cook in either suet, butter, because they're more stable at high heat, avocado oil. Again, I'm not giving you diet advice. I'm just saying to look at it. You don't want to be cooking in sunflower oils. They're rancid. They're not good for you. One thing that I think most people need to do is either reduce sugar, refined sugar, or cut sugar altogether. Sugar is very aging on the skin. It suppresses the immune system. Sugar comes in many, many different forms. When you read labels, I was looking at a well-known supermarket at burgers. I was comparing the burgers that I get from my butcher, that is literally mince. He puts it in the press and that's it. It's just mince. There's nothing else in it. And I was in a well-known supermarket, their top of the range brand, and in their burgers, there was dextrose, sugar, some other additives, and something I've never heard of, but it's a preservative or something, and that is in their top of the range organic stuff. I really would try and get good quality. And there was rice flour in those as well. So what I'm going to do is buy them, cook them, see what they shrink down to. And there was only 70 pence difference. But so I'm going to do a bit of an experiment on the pricing and the quality of them. Just to see, because I get it, food prices are changing significantly now. So the thing that I would try to do is eat the colour of the rainbow. So get bright coloured vegetables in, your bell peppers, your tomatoes, and get quite a good diverse amount of foods in. Another thing that I would really look at avoiding for health reasons is refined carbohydrates, your pastas, because I've found with a lot of older ladies, or as we're hitting menopause, our tolerance to carbohydrates changes. We become more insulin resistant, which means we don't use the carbohydrates as what we used to do. And so I build their nutrition plate around their main part is the protein. So whether it's getting the fish in, the salmon, the mackerel, or even just white fish and things like that, but I make sure as well they get a good balance of fats. Again, I'm not telling you what to do because I'm not working directly with you, but where you get your food matters. Now, if you're running a lot and your immune system, if you're running quite hard, is already getting blasted, then you go and stick a load of sugar or processed foods into your system that is lowering your immune system. You know, it's these things that you need to bear in mind as we're getting older. And cover it in one of the episodes with Claire Nisbet, the nutrition lady, who was amazing. I recommend listening to that. She was great, much more detailed than what I'm doing here. But what ages the skin, and what do we all want? We want glowing skin, no wrinkles, which we're going to get wrinkles. You know, I haven't got into my 50s and have clear, wrinkle-free skin. I've got wrinkles. But sugar is very, very aging on the skin. It breaks down collagen, it breaks down elastin. It's not great on the gut either. So the healthier that we can be in here, the healthier and glowing this area is going to be. And who doesn't want healthy, glowing skin? And we're looking sort of like vitalize. And a lot of my clients and that have been sort of swearing by taking collagen supplements, sort of gelatin and stuff like that. I actually get the bones from my butcher. Now it's all the stuff that I use is it's all grass-fed, sustainably farmed. All the bones that he has, actually, that if I not taken up by Claire and making her bone broth that's bubbling away over there, they go to a bio plant and they're ground down and used as energy. I'm not quite sure exactly what, but it's used for a form of energy and powers something else. So they, again, everything is used. We also need to be looking at as well, if you are vegan, or even if you're not, looking at B vitamins, our vitamin D, and really pay attention to our gut health. And I understand, you know, it's for not everybody can afford to go and get all the tests. So you can play around with things. If you're thinking, I had a really bad flare-up of rosacea, which was actually, it was perimenopause, and the hormones have helped that. But I have to be careful of not having anything really sort of acidic, and any nightshades. So tomatoes, aubergines, anything like that actually can flare my skin up a little bit as well. So I have to avoid that. So you can play around with that. Another friend of mine who's perimenopause, she's had to cut out all wheat products, and she's also had to cut out lactose and things like that, because that was actually flaring things up for her as well, and she'd never had an intolerance. So these are all things that you can look at. And when we're talking skin, another thing that I would advise is drink plenty of water. So I probably drink 2 to 3 liters of water a day. And I use, in some of that, I use a little bit of apple cider vinegar with the mother in, which is really good for your gut health as well. So all these sort of things matter. So that's briefly covered on sort of protein. And when we're talking protein, we're talking about amino acids, and I make sure that my clients are getting a good balance of leucine, which vegan you'll need to supplement for like say for me, I have red meat. It's very high in beef. Lysine, again, that's in animal proteins and tofu, soybeans, and methionine, which comes from eggs. And again, that's getting very, very complicated, but I build my clients, especially as we get to a certain age, on proteins, and I don't really calorie count on them. Okay, a good cut of steak. So I've got steak waiting for me over there. So, and also, why do we need protein? And we need it for muscle. Okay, but it's actually involved in so many other things of our body: our skin, our hair, our hormones. The turnover in our body a day is about, our needs is about 300 grams. Now, we don't need to do it, it's all within the body, but I would say, for using myself as an example, I have about 120 grams of protein a day, and that serves me very well. And my skin's pretty healthy, digestion's good, etc. So we need, as we get older, we need to maintain lean body mass. So you can actually think of the muscle as the more lean muscle mass you have, you tend to be metabolically more healthy. It helps regulate your blood sugar better. It's a good pool storage of your amino acids, so your proteins, and it speeds up your metabolism. The more lean muscle mass you have, the faster your metabolism does tend to be. Doesn't give you permission to go out and eat loads of cheesecake, I wish, but yeah, so it's just the more lean muscle mass you have, you're going to be stronger, you're going to be more robust, and that's what we really need to do. So you're going to be more insulin sensitive, using your glucose more efficiently. So exercise on its own improves your metabolic health. So it also keeps us, we want to look at functional muscle and looking at doing the compound lifts. So most of my clients, well, in fact, all of my clients, if they, from whether they are runners, I train endurance athletes, I train bodybuilders, I just train recreational athletes as well, but all of them do a form of a hip hinge, a deadlift, a kettlebell swing. It's of one form or another. Okay, and that to me is train your hip hinge in with whatever equipment you want, whether it's a barbell, whether it's a kettlebell. I would train that. So train the deadlift, maintain the squats, and you may not ever squat below parallel, but if you can squat, I would just maintain the squat. We need to do a form of a push movement and a form of a pull movement, a lunging variation movement and a rotational movement. Those are the basics. And obviously, if we're running, we should, if we are running well, we are doing a form of a hinge movement. But like I say, with any endurance sport, I would make your strength training as part of it, especially as we get older, as we want to maintain bone density as well. So lean body mass actually starts to go down when we're in our 30s, and it can be dropping every decade of our life, 3 to 8%. So depending on what you do, and I know I've lost lean body mass, and I weight train as well, so it's just something to keep in mind. Bone density loss goes more rapid at the time of the menopause. Our peak bone mass is at the age of 25 to 30. So like I say, the more lean body mass we have, the more metabolically healthy we tend to be. So as we get older and we're losing lean body mass and we're losing strength, and it's which came first, it's a bit the chicken or the egg. I don't think it matters. I think it's a bit of both. I don't think it's either one or the other. I think if you're losing strength, you're going to probably lose muscle as well. And if you're losing muscle, you're probably losing strength. So it's a bit, 50-50. So I would say really, really make sure that you are doing good quality strength training. And if you're going to do things like strength stuff, I would probably get a coach, because deadlifting done well, or hip hinge done well, is so valuable. Hip hinging not done well and not lifting well can cause some significant issues, and so I really would try to avoid that. And with ladies, you do underestimate yourselves. You really, really do. You are capable of lifting a lot more than you ever probably think. And I have to put myself into that category as well. Okay. I know I lift heavy, but even I walk up things and I have doubt myself. I'm like, oh, I can't do that. But you are capable of a lot more than what you actually know. And I've worked with ladies over a lot of years, and I would actually say a lot of the time I know them better than what they know themselves. And that absolute sheer joy when I see somebody do something that they did not think was possible is so, so rewarding. So do not underestimate yourselves, ladies. You can do these things. So what I would do on how to structure a strength training program, if you are a runner, you only may need 2 sessions of 20 minutes to 30 minutes twice a week, if that, and making sure that it complements your needs. And again, that's where people like myself and some of the other ladies, Kelly, Angie, and Paulette, and people like that, they come in, so you can watch those, and they will really help you build something into that. The running, you may find again that you have to change a little bit, maybe back it off a little bit when you're going through, if you're getting any symptoms. If you're getting aches and pains or any injuries, have them looked at. It could be something very, very simple, and weight training could significantly help you. When we're looking again at nutrition, and I'm talking about the sugar, so we're probably, some of us are at that age that we're getting tested for type 2 diabetes, and they typically test the HbA1c. The HbA1c and blood glucose levels is not the most accurate way to really, really test. Ideally, I would want to be checking the insulin levels, but that actually isn't, I don't think that's available on the NHS. You may be able to get it done privately. But if you're going out running and then you're knocking back a sugary drink at the end of it, or any of the gels or anything, that is going to raise your insulin levels. Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad thing if you're a massive endurance runner, but I would really try to look at the quality of the carbohydrates that you're actually taking in, because insulin is inflammatory on the body. And again, if we're getting any aches and pains and inflammation, is that from any sports drinks and energy drinks and things like that? And some of my runners that I train with, I've changed that, and they're actually much, much better. I put more fats into the diet, and things like that. I've covered the plant protein, wheat protein, and bran proteins. Wheat and bran protein are only about 40% available. Okay, so if you take it in, and whatever the protein intake is, and it's only 40% available, and your digestion isn't absorbing it all, just be aware that you may not be getting in quite the amount of protein that you actually think. So I would look at probably supplementing with definitely leucine. And again, I think Rachel Hunt's on here, she does the vegan side of it. So I would possibly go to somebody like her to get help. Just trying to think anything. So body replaces literally all our proteins within our body 4 times a year. Now that is huge. So you need to be making sure you are taking it in your proteins as well. And thinking about your skin and your skin health. And I would also look at, please cut out diet drinks, your diet drinks of aspartame and stuff. And they say that aspartame is safe. It is still tested. If you're having to test something for the safety and the efficacy within the body, then I would probably avoid it. My friend is actually a type 1 diabetic, so has to take in insulin, and she had Diet Coke and her blood glucose changed. So yeah, I that's something to be aware of. Again, it's very controversial on things like that, but I would eat as nature intended and enjoy your food, and have a glass of wine. I have a glass of wine. And your strength training, if you want any help with programming, I'm here. Keep it simple, keep it safe, and don't wear yourself out doing it. If you need any more information and I can tailor it to you directly, I am happy to do it. That was a very, very broad overview of things. And I hope it was interesting enough just to pique your interest in looking at your nutrition to benefit you in this stage of your life. Have a good day.